What is going on, guys? Gavin here. Today I want to feature a Machina deck profile. So Machina is one of those older archetypes that has been getting a lot of new support recently. Starting off with the structure deck, we got really good cards being a new boss monster in Machina Citadel, a new searcher with Machina redeployment, and a really strong trap card with Machina Overdrive. And then since then we've got some other good support like Machina Metal Cruncher, which is a pretty good searcher, Machina Uncless Bar, Machina Resavager, Machina Possess Storage, which I'm not playing in this deck. And then, of course, the newest card, we have Machina Ruin Force being a new boss monster for the archetype as well. So this archetype is really cool. I think the trap control strategy is a really interesting way to play it. I was kind of inspired by the way they play this deck in the OCG, because they do play quite a lot of traps in Machina, because it's a main deck oriented strategy that doesn't really care about its extra deck too much and can kind of benefit a lot from destroying both sides of the board, because the Machina monsters are a little bit floaty and have some good effects when they are destroyed. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the profile. Okay, to start for the deck profile, we're on triple copies of Machina Gearframe. This is basically the Stratos for the archetype, searching out all those Machina monsters from your deck on normal summon. Triple copies of Uncless Bar to basically when you add this card from your deck to your hand, you get to special summon it, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you get to send a Machina monster from your deck to your graveyard, so it allows you easy access to all your Machina boss monsters, which all have pretty good graveyard effects. One copy of Resavager, so this card gives one of your Machina monsters 1200 attack, not nearly as much as Honest Neos, but also all your Machina monsters are pretty beefy. They all have pretty nice attack stats. Like Machina Ruin Force is huge, so if you put Resavager on a Ruin Force, your Ruin Force will be 58, which is enough to beat over a Access Code Talker with 5300 attack. So you'll pretty much be beating over anything. And also it's recyclable, which is the reason why I'm playing it, because if one of your Machina monsters beats over an opponent's monster, you get to add this card back to your hand, which is nice. Then we play 2 copies of Metal Crunch. So you guys, if you play Earth Machines, you know what this card does, but basically you reveal 3 cards or 3 Earth Machines from your deck, and then your opponent randomly adds one to hand. It's not amazing in this deck. It's not as good as in the Earth Machines, but it can still add stuff like Air Raider or Gear Frame, or you don't always get the guarantee Fortress or Citadel, but you can add one. So this card is decent, but also it's a level 9, so it's like fodder for Fortress as well. So then we're playing 2 copies of Irradiator. So Irradiator is pretty decent because basically you can discard one other Machina monster in your hand to special summon this card, and then when this card is on the field, you can destroy one machine monster you control and special summon one Machina monster from your graveyard whose level is equal to or less than the monster that you just destroyed's level. So yeah, it can be used to trigger Citadel, but you can use it to trade out like a Gear Frame for a Uncless Bar and then trigger Citadel, and then you can use Uncless Bar's effect, which is pretty nice because it can allow you to dump a Ruin Force or a Fortress into your graveyard. So it's decent, but not amazing. And then we're on triple copies of Air Raider, so this card is better than Irradiator most of the time because this card has the same summoning condition where you need to discard another Machina monster in your hand, but during your opponent's turn, you can quick effect destroy one machine monster you control, and then special summon one Machina monster from your deck whose level is less than or equal to the level of the monster that you just destroyed. So this card can also be used to trigger Citadel and get out those Uncless Bars from your deck, and use it on your opponent's turn to get like a Ruin Force in your graveyard as follow-up for your next turn. So that's pretty nice. Then 2 copies of Fortress for being a crazy beater that is just, this card's just insane because you can crash it into stuff, you can beat over stuff. I love this card a lot. Then we play 2 copies of Machina Citadel, so this card is crazy because when it's in your graveyard and one of your face-up Earth Machine monsters gets destroyed, you can special summon this card. Also, it has an effect where you can target one machine monster you control and then destroy that machine monster and all monsters your opponent controls with attack that is less than or equal to that monster's attack. So at the very worst, you can just use this effect on Machina Citadel itself and destroy all monsters your opponent controls with 3000 or less attack, which should be all of them if you use this card at the right time. Then we play 1 copy of Machina Ruin Force. This card is great because it's very easy to get into the graveyard with Uncless Bar, and it's very easy to special summon from the graveyard with its own effect. Basically, you have to banish machine monsters whose level is equal to 12 or higher, and then when this card is on the field during the battle phase, it has an Omni Negate that can half your life points and your opponent's life points, so it can close out games very quickly if your opponent is not careful. Yeah, this card also has a floating effect where if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to summon Machina monsters from your banished pile up to whose level is equal to 12 or lower. So obviously the sweet spot to summon this card is banished monsters whose level is equal to exactly 12, so that you can make use of the floating effect to the best of your ability. Then we play triple copies of Redeployment, so this card is really insane when it resolves and really sucks when it doesn't resolve, because it does have a discard cost attached, but basically gets you 2 Machina cards from your deck to hand or 2 Machina monsters from your deck to hand depending on what you discard. So it's pretty nice, but once again, you hate Ash Blossom when it hits this card. Triple copies of Extrav, so this card is really good in the format because a lot of boards aren't ending on like 6 negates anymore. It's usually like 2 or 3, so this card is either blowing a negate or going +1, and this card is absolutely insane because we do not care about our extra deck at all. So it's just really free, to be honest. 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison as non-destruction, non-targeting removal. So cards like Destroy Phoenix Enforcer aren't really great to deal with because Needle Sealing and Torrential Tribute both would trigger Destroy Phoenix Enforcer's effect when it gets destroyed. So Ice Dragon's Prison is a really nice out to that card, and like an alternative out to cards that can't be targeted or destroyed. So it's pretty much mandatory to play in here, I feel like. 2 copies of Needle Sealing, 2 copies of Torrential Tribute for wiping our opponent's board, 2 triple copies of Machina Overdrive for getting access to Citadel, also triggering Citadel. This card's insane because it just trades out a Machina monster, but also has a really nice recycling effect to recycle your banished machine monsters or machine monsters that are in your graveyard and giving you an extra draw. It's definitely worth it to use this card in the draw phase of the turn after you activate it, because you don't want to get drolled on this card. Even though, Droll isn't the most impactful card against this deck, it can stop you from going Extrav or Redeployment, which would suck. So definitely use this card in the draw phase, the turn after you activate it. 1 copy of Trap Trick to basically trade into any of the normal traps in the deck. We have a lot of good ones. Triple copies of Solemn Strike because it's the best Solemn card. 2 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison, so another new addition to back row decks. This card just protects back row and allows you to set up a back row if it was revealed in your hand when you activated this card's effect to special summon itself. This card is really cool because a lot of the times I like to go into Extrav with this card so that I can get an additional draw 2 on my following turn, which feels really good, and this card's just gas, honestly. Then 1 copy of Called by the Grave to, as an honorary trap card, and it can also hit Ash when your opponent tries to Ash your Redeployment, and that can be pretty crucial, but, you would play Called by at more than 1, but it's at 1. So, yeah, that's it for the main deck. Let's go on into the extra deck. For the extra deck, most of it really doesn't matter all that much, but we do play 2 copies of Anger Knuckle, which I almost never summon, but it can allow you to make the rank 10s easier, I suppose. We don't even play that many targets for this card in general. We just play the 2 Citadel, which is like really the only card we can summon off this card because we can't summon Ruin Force because of its restriction on its effect. Triple copies of Iron Wolf. This card is really good because it can allow your big Machina monsters to attack directly. So if you can land this on a Ruin Force, that's amazing because it can allow you to attack directly for 4,600, and you could even put the Resavager on it. So if you get the negate off this card during the battle phase and it can attack directly, you're winning the game. And then it can also target itself so that you can attack with it and then make a Zeus, which is pretty nice. 2 copies of Gear Gigant X to get a Earth Machine on the board once you've already gone for the Unclaspar. Like, say you have 2 Unclaspar on the board, or you just have straight level 4s on the board, you can slap them into this thing, get a search off, and have an Earth Machine that can be destroyed for triggering Citadel, which is cool. And then for the we play 6 of the rank 10s, basically 2 Gustav, 2 Super Dora, and then 2 Lieb for OTKing our opponent. We play 2 of them because of Extrav, and then 2 copies of Zeus. This card is insane and pretty affordable now that the Megatins are out. Just allowing you to wipe the board and come back into the game in certain scenarios is really cool. So that's really it for the extra deck. The side deck isn't really like anything special either. We just play 2 Broken Line for going second, triple Solemn Judgment for going first, 1 skill drain for going first because we don't even need the effects of most of our monsters. We can just play beat down if we happen to get this card, so that's pretty cool. Triple evenly match for going second, triple urgent schedule for going second, triple cosmic cyclone for back row removal. Yeah, like I said, the side deck, I didn't really put too much thought into it, but you know, it just has some generically good going first and second cards. So yeah, that's really it for the deck profile, guys. Let's go ahead and hop into a game so I can show you guys just how fun this deck is and how simple it is to play and how it can actually smash some decks out there. Okay, so for the match for this video, I will be playing against heroes, which I could definitely demonstrate what this deck does best against heroes, because heroes don't really play through back row going second that well, at least in game 1. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and start by activating the Extrav. Banish 6, draw 2, feels really good. Then go ahead and fire off the redeployment, pitch a Citadel, search for 2 Machina monsters, getting the Gear Frame and the Uncle's Bar. And then we'll go ahead and activate the Uncle's Bar, special summon, and go ahead and dump a Fortress. Then we'll normal summon Gear Frame effect to add a Rune Force to hand, and then we'll special summon the Fortress. I did banish both my Gear Giggins with the Extrav, so I don't have the option to go for the Gear Giggin play here, but I do have a pretty nice setup here with double Needle Sealing and the Overdrive. So I am bad here, and I forget to activate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison because I am not at all used to playing with this card yet, so oops, I forgot that, but don't hate me too much. Going into our opponent's turn, you know, he has a really gas hand himself, so he has the Adusted Gold. He's going to activate that, add the Dark Calling, then go ahead and special summon out the Ferris by discarding a Malicious, and then activating the Ferris effect, going full hero combo here, going for the increase effect. And at this point, I will activate the Overdrive so that I can get access to my Citadel on the board. And then he will get out the Vion and then activate the Vion effect. I'll activate a Citadel effect to bring it out so that I have the Wipe effect on the board ready to go. And then he will add an Honest Neos to hand. He'll activate the Vion effect to add Poly, and now he'll go ahead and go into the Cross Crusader, and then Cross Crusader effect to revive the Malicious. And then here I try to wipe his board, but he does hit me with the droplets, which is unfortunate, but not the end of the world because I still have 2 Needle Sealing left to help me out here. So now I am going to go for the Aerator here to just get off the Citadel because, once again, its effects are negated, so it's not really doing a whole lot to help me here. And now my opponent is going to go for the Crusader effect, especially to add from deck to hand. Now he will poly into the Sunrise effect, add the Miracle Fusion, activate Dark Calling, summon out Malicious Bane, and here I actually just go for Needle Sealing because I don't really want him actually getting the destruction with the Malicious Bane, because then it would gain a bunch of attack, and this is like the only other time I'm going to be able to activate Needle Sealing this turn. So I clean up the board, goes battle phase, swings in for 3k. I'm still, you know, at a good amount of life points, so not too worried about it. He passes after that. Now I activate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison like I should have done last turn. And yeah, we're just kind of going to go for the Rune Force here because we have it in our graveyard, and even though that Malicious Bane can't be destroyed by battle, it's not a big deal because this thing is so beefy, and we do have the Resavager in hand, which is going to make it pretty much impossible for my opponent to beat over this card, because I'm not sure if heroes have a way to add back Honest Neos, but even if they did, 2,500 plus 3,000 is 5,500, and then 4,600 plus 1,200 is 5,800, so he still would not be able to beat over the Rune Force, which is actually pretty hilarious. So he is going to try and activate the increase upon taking the damage there, and I'm going to negate that in half his life points. I do have mine, so I'm only at 2,500 now. He's going to activate the E-Call, and then normal summon out Liquid Soldier effect to summon back the Vion effect to send the Shadow Mist effect to add a hero monster from deck to hand. He's going to add Stratos, and then he's going to go into Wonder Driver, activate Malicious, summon out another Malicious, and then here he is going to go for the Wonder Driver effect to set the Poly, activate Poly, go into Trinity here, and he thinks that he can actually beat over my Rune Force, but no such luck for him because I do have the Resavager in hand, and that is going to get destroyed, which is hilarious. I just made the joke to him here. I'm like, this is Machina Honest Neos, and he laughed at that. So yeah, my opponent isn't really doing a whole lot here now. So yeah, we should be winning this game here. So we'll go ahead and activate the overdrive here. Obviously, I should have done it in the draw phase. I just didn't have the always chain on. So we'll get that extra draw, activate the Resavager effect to give the Rune Force plus 1200 attack, and then beat over the Malicious Bane for game. So yeah, that was a super fun game right there. Let's go ahead and go into game. Okay, so for this next game, heroes are going first. I'll go ahead and swap the sides over here. But yeah, they have pretty much full combo here because they have Ferris and Stratos in hand. So let's see what he can put up here. So he's going to activate the Ferris effect, go for the increase play, increase effect, special summon itself, special summon Vion effect to send the malicious, and then cross Crusader to summon back the malicious, cross Crusader effect, summon or add the I believe he added the Solid Soldier there to hand, and then Solid Soldier effect, summon Shadow Mist effect, add a quick play mass change to hand, and then he's just gonna set here because I think he just had the nib in the hand and then the mass change, so he's like Dark Law plus nib. I shouldn't be losing here, but you'll see what we are actually able to do here. So he's gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and fire off the redeployment, which is going to be met with the mass change, so he will be able to rip a card out of my hand by the time mass change resolves and he has the Dark Law on the board. So I'm just going to go ahead and activate Urgent Schedule here just to get the bodies on the board. And then we will add 2 level 4s so that I can ensure that I actually have one to summon. So that will be important as you'll see here. So yeah, this chain is going to resolve, and then in the next chain link, Unclospar will activate and Dark Law will activate. So he's going to rip a card out of my hand, and then also the Shadow Mist will activate, but I do have the call by for that because I don't really want him getting any additional advantage here. So he is going to rip the Overdrive out of my hand, which is probably the better one for him to rip from my hand, if I'm being honest. Like, that was the card that I needed the least, so that's fine for me. And now here I'm just going to make the Iron Wolf, and this is going to be really easy here. I'm just going to detach and make Zeus, and we're going to be fine here because we're actually, I believe we got 4 summons there, and then Zeus is the 5th summon. So I'm going to activate the Zeus effect, and then he's going to nib me here, which is fine because, yeah, it really doesn't matter because the board is going to be wiped. And then I can normal summon Gear Frame and then get a follow-up from an next turn, set an IDP, and I'm feeling pretty good about this one. So he's going to normal summon out the Liquid Soldier effect, summon out the Vion, but before that even resolves, I'm just going to activate IDP, get the Vion, and then banish both. So he is kind of out of play here, and then now we're just going to go for normal summon Unclospar effect. I believe I pitched the Rune Force, special summon out the Rune Force, and then just go for game here. It was really that simple. Even against full combo heroes, we managed to pull it out, and that was honestly hilarious. He definitely made the mistake of siding in the nib there because it's really not that good against my deck. But yeah, that's it for the replay, guys. So that's it for the video, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed that. This deck was a ton of fun to build and play around with, and I probably will be taking it to locals at some point once I get the cards. I don't really need much, you know. Once you already have most of the staples for this deck, all you really need is like some of the new cards from Burst of Destiny, which aren't too bad price-wise. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, have a nice day, and goodbye.